13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe football show for the later, a day later than scheduled and earlier than scheduled. 6 o'clock seems a bit mad, like doing the final word at this time. But I wanted to go to bed early, so I brought it forward a bit. Pretty thin on the ground, as you can see. Just myself, Luke, and Evie tonight. Everyone else sends their apologies. They're either working, need a rest. Poor Chris Kelly's in London. Feel for him. Some are playing football. It is what it is. But you've got three amazing contributors, if I do say so myself, right here. So it's all good. Luke, how are you doing, mate? All right?
Yeah, mate, not too bad at all. Just got back home today. Absolutely shattered myself. I had a long weekend, and it's just getting to that time of year, driving in the dark and that. It's just not. I'm not made for it.
It's not nice, is it, mate? I can't lie.
Nah.
Like, it's pissing down again now. Like, it's proper pissing down. My heating's on full blast, and it's still a bit chilly. You know what I mean? It's that kind of vibe. Yeah. And Evie, how are you?
Good. Yeah. Finally defrosted after a weekend walk in York, Christmas shopping. So yeah, all good, thank you.
Good. At least York's nice. I mean, Sunderland's not much to compare you, really, to be honest. Although, to be fair, I did get a little bit giddy when I seen the Northeast Derby, Sunderland versus Newcastle in the Cup. It wasn't until I moved up here, like, at Leeds, we don't really have that, like, local rivalry, do we? We don't really have that local... It's the Man United game, but up here, when I moved up here, genuinely, all they talk about for the week leading up to it is Derby Day. And then all people at work can be like, oh, I'm off out for Derby Day. We're like, you don't follow football. Yeah, but it's Derby Day. And it just goes mad. So Sunderland will be decent on that day. I might take a walk around and see what's going on. But Middlesbrough think they're our local rival, says Jay. They do, don't they? They're a bit strange. But we're here to talk about that Middlesbrough game, actually. There's loads I want to talk about. There's loads of positives, but also, for me, a few negatives. I think we're going to be talking about Farker and his substitutions again. I don't know what it was like for you, Luke, but watching the game, when they went down to 10 men, I just didn't think we helped ourselves. It was like we were still on level terms. I'd have liked him to bring on like Non to Anthony back sooner to use their fresh legs against an already lagging backline,
Yeah, I mean, I can completely understand that, Joe. But when we were in total control of the game, realistically, I mean, they were always going to have a couple of breakaways. They're always going to get another chance. But it felt very much that we were on top. We controlled the possession. They can't score without the ball, the old saying goes. And we didn't really look like giving the ball up. And I can understand why you didn't want to take that risk, because the two players there that you've named, they're very exciting, but they're very exciting because they run and they're very direct and they go at players, which probably isn't what you need at that stage of the game. Yes, if you want to go get another goal, but ultimately with 11 men against 10 at home, controlling the game, I could see why Farker didn't do it too early. I was crying out for it in the stadium, but sort of having watched it back and thought about it, it made more sense not to, because they knew the drill. The players, the 11 who were on the pitch, knew the drill. They knew what they were up against. If you've ever come on as a sub at any level of any sport, it takes you a few minutes to get into the game and know you're up against and what they're about, and sometimes it can have quite an adverse effect to the game. So I think the last thing we needed was to panic in that situation. For me, it wasn't the biggest deal. I think there was a bigger problem that came rather than the actual substitutions, and that for me is something we've talked about on here quite a bit, Joe. It's that coasting when you're in front, and it is that although you are controlling the game, you still need to be very, very aware that Middlesbrough are a decent side, and look, they should have had an equaliser. There's no doubt about that. If it wasn't for Rodon's block, it was frustrating. It was a good afternoon. I was excited, happy to get the 3 points, but yeah, all in all, I think my biggest concern to take out of it is, why do we seem to be so overconfident? I think when we're in front.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. We've spoke about it before. Evie, not killing teams off. There was opportunities to do it. Rutter really needs to work on his finishing. That's something that he needs to work on, because we know he can, right? But yeah, it's. I'm sorry, I'm just reading comments there as they're coming in. Apologies. But yeah, we really need to start killing teams off, right?
Oh yeah, we play as if we're like 4 ahead, but we're not. We're only 2, and as the cliche goes, 2 goals is a dangerous lead, and we already saw within the first 2 minutes of the game how fragile we can be if teams actually do come and play football at Ellen Road. And it made it for an entertaining game, but my God, what is it with the first minute and the last minute of the first half that we just switch off? And I love Strauch, but what was he doing all the way up the other end when he's the slower out of the 2 centre backs? He's just had a double hernia operation. He's not going to make that recovery all the way back. And obviously, it then got put out for a corner, which then led to the goal. And I've watched it back a couple of times, and I know people obviously said that Meslier probably should have got that, or Byram should have been able to head it, but I think you've got to give props to Middlesbrough. It was a really well taken corner, and I don't actually think that there's many people that would be keeping that goal out because of how well it was done. So I think we need to give more props to them, and not just kind of completely say we were terrible defending it. Yes, we could have done better, but it was a very well taken corner. So it's just frustrating. I think Rutter needs to go into some sort of like program where all he does all day for 24 hours is just shoot at the net, because he's superb to watch, but then he gets to the end and it's like he just passes the ball to the keeper half of the time. For a guy who can physically go past defenders and move them out of the way, and use his body and his physicality so well, I don't understand what it comes to, his lower half of his body, that he just can't, use it to put a bit of a strength on a kick.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's almost like P rollers, isn't it, when he actually takes his effort at goal. On my reaction in the game, and obviously instant match reaction, it is an instant match reaction. So there isn't time really to look over and re-go over goals before I put that out. But we're going to have to talk about him, because I've been on Twitter, Luke's been on Twitter, arguing with people over our brilliant French goalkeeper. Big up to Gabe, by the way. We got into this debate on One League as well the other week. But look, at the time on the first viewing of it, I'm thinking he should save it. It is becoming a bit of an issue where every single shot that he faced does seem to go in the back of the net. Are we being too harsh, Luke, or are there question marks over Meslier? Because what I do want to say for him, he does make a good one-on-one serve a few moments later. There seems to be this narrative about him catching balls as well. I don't believe he's been asked to do that. If you look, he punches every single one and it normally goes far. And then people are having to go at his kicking because he's playing it short. But again, that's what he's asked to do in terms of the build-up phase. If you look, it always goes into Strauch, and is it any wonder Strauch's got the most progressions in the league? Because he gives him the ball and then he moves it up to halfway. That's the whole part of the build-up phase. But yeah, look, we're going to have to talk about Meslier, Luke. What are your thoughts, mate, on the goal and him?
Yeah, no, is he at fault at the goal? I mean, for me, that shot should never have been able to be taken in the first place. So people won't want to hear it, but Archie Gray's at fault for that. For that, he overcommits on his man, which leaves a shooting opportunity. Look, it shouldn't be Meslier from there. Let's be honest. And Meslier, I don't even know how you say his name anymore. But I've said it that much over the past few days. I don't know how to say it. But he's got a lot to work on. He's not the finished article. He's not. We don't expect. what do we expect? We're playing in the Championship. I've seen people say he's no Nigel Martin. Well, no, Nigel Martin played in the Europa League for us and in Champions League, and you know, we're not playing in that. We're playing in the Championship. What do people expect? You know, we saw the interview that came out early on saying he wanted to stay because he felt he had wrongs to right. Sorry. Yeah, wrongs to right from the relegation that he was part of that squad. Look, it was absolutely appalling for his last season with a very, very poor defence in front of him. This season, he has improved, and people are saying that still trying to tell me that he hasn't improved, which is absolute codswallop.
Yeah.
Absolute codswallop. He's, like you say about his punching from corners. I think he's been specifically told to do that because he looks more confident doing that than what he does trying to catch a ball. So, and his punching is good. It goes out of the way. It goes exactly where it's supposed to do. Clears his lines and you know, invites a little bit more pressure on us again. But I think that's what he's been expected to do. His passing is fine. What he's up with his passing. That's how. If people would be complaining if he wellied it long every time, we were trying to play like
something.
You know, play a long ball all the time. He's 23 years old. Goalkeepers don't tend to get and mature until later on in their careers anyway, sort of late 20s when they're playing their best football as a goalkeeper, and they're at their, you know, goalkeepers get better with experience, and there's no denying that. So yeah, I just think people are being very harsh, and the one particular gripe I had is that he was being judged on a metric on save percentage, which doesn't take into account the quality of shot coming in, and various other things, and it put him as the 4th worst goalkeeper in the Championship. And if you believe that,
which is not, is he? He's not. He's not.
So yeah, I think people are being too harsh, and I think the frustrating thing is in 6 games we've won 5 and drawn 1, and people are still trying to find some narrative and some agenda against the squad that has to have a negative effect, and I fully don't understand that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree, and listen, I do back him, but I do look on reflection. The first goal, Archie's at fault and stuff. It's becoming a regular narrative, though, and it was last season. Faces a shot, ends up in the back of the net, and it's just something that does need to hopefully change. But again, that comes back to what you were saying, Evie, about us making sure that we defend the first minute of the game and defend the last minutes of the game. Don't let our concentration lapse, because it's clearly doing that, because we've given teams a head start. Like at the end of the day, the Middlesbrough and Swansea game, their goals we should be getting clean sheets, really. We're gifting opportunities. It's not as if we're getting cut open at will like we were in the Premier League and you're going, right, hold our hands up. We're gifting them opportunities, even.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I disagree, Luke, but I'm saying I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. If Meslier has improved so much since last season, is it that he's improved, or is it that the people in front of him have improved? Because he's still, I understand that you can't measure the type of shot on a metric. I get that. But at some point, a stat does become relevant when the goals are going in the back of the net. He's not making I think I can list I'd need less than one hand to list the amount of actual really top class saves he's made this season so far. Like the last minute Watford one, the Leicester one, the one he did make a good save, the 1-on-1 save where he went down and like it just bounced off him. He made himself big, but he is still letting the quality of opposition that we're playing is not as good as the Premier League. So everybody should have taken an improvement, a massive step forward, because of, and if they're not, then that's really concerning because of the fact that the level of competition. I remember seeing, I think it was Gabe on Connor's channel saying that actually the Championship isn't just one division lower than the Premier League. It's actually about 11 divisions lower when you take across the quality of Europe. That actually the quality of other leagues across Europe, the Championship is in the top 11. It's not directly below the Premier League.
No,
so
I'm not having that.
No, we can't. Evie though, but then we're using stats for everything. I didn't know
No,
you'd said that. That's wild.
I get that.
That's
I get that.
wild.
But has Melier actually improved, or have the defense? You know, we didn't have Rodon last year. We didn't have Archie Gray, so he's facing less shots. So in theory, if he has improved, he would be making better saves. And he's still making the same mistakes. We're still conceding on corners. We're still making early mistakes. Yes, it's defensive mistakes. So it's a team mistake. I get that. But I still rate Melier, and I still don't want to get rid of him. And I still think he has massive potential. But it was like what I was saying the other day, in the fact of the pressure that Leeds has in order to get promoted this season. Can we afford a keeper that is still so young? You know, he's in the infancy really of his career, and everybody brings their A game to Leeds because we're the biggest team in the Championship without being big-headed. You know, it just facts are facts, and we are. So everybody ups their game. Like even Huddersfield scored against us. You know, like it's not. It's just not. I don't think that he's improved to the level that the goals on the board suggest. With all those goals, especially the first two in the Cardiff game, he should have saved at least one of them. Two of them were they were both down Aylin's side, so maybe you can pin that more on Aylin. But I still don't think that he's improved to the level that we think he has. I think we've just dropped down, and the level of competition against him isn't as good as the Premier League.
Well, I think it's fair to go on, Luke. I'll let you respond.
Yeah, no, I think there's a few things there actually. I mean, the first thing that sort of jumped out to me was massively. I don't think he's massively improved. I don't think he's turned into this world-class goalkeeper overnight. I don't at all. There's still loads and loads to work on until he's almost a finished article. He's nowhere near the best goalkeeper in England. I'm not professing. I don't think he's probably the best goalkeeper in the league, but I think he's probably top 5 in the Championship. But the first thing you said there, Evie, was he's not making many world-class saves. Now he's not a world-class goalkeeper. That goes back to what I said about the expectation and what do we want as Leeds fans. You know, we're in the Championship, and our prime operation is to get out of the Championship. Now, for that, he's absolutely fine. I've had people coming at me and saying, "But would you want him to be a goalkeeper when we go up?" I said, "We'll cross that bridge." You know what I mean? Let's get there first. You know, we've got a target, and that is to get promoted. And how many points has Meslier cost us this season? How many has he won? I think it's probably easier to look at it on that metric, because he hasn't cost us any games this season yet. Whereas he's probably single-handedly won the 3 points at Leicester with that save. You know, there's so many ways you can look at it. And look, it's all about opinions. I don't think he. Ideally, if we did go up, and I didn't ever really want to come on to this because I don't sort of really like tempting fate, but if we did go up, no, I would like a good, more experienced keeper to be our number one, and Meslier be a backup, albeit to learn from. He's not had that, you know. You look at he's had no competition throughout the last few years, and he almost has been stagnant this year. Darlow's come in, and I genuinely think he has improved. I do. I don't think he's massively improved, and I don't think we've got Oliver Kahn overnight or anything like that. I'm not naive, but I think he's improved to a level where they're
showing your age there, Luke. When some people will be like, "Who's Oliver Kahn?"
but yeah, I just find it mad that I mean, and the 11th most. Did you say it was the 11th best?
Oh, that for me.
It was just what I'd heard.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I know you just repeat your quoting, but I don't fully understand that. They're saying the Championship contains the 11th best group of clubs within Europe.
Yeah.
It's not though, is it?
Nah.
That's good. You can get a stat to prove anything, really. Yeah. Because that's just listen. Big up to Gabe. But yeah, okay, you can say he's poor keeper, but then if we're going to say actually, when you look at statistical data, the Championship's the 11th, but like I don't even know where that comes from. Like for me, it's probably the most competitive, if not one of the most competitive.
We've also only conceded we've got the third best record in the league. Now he's a mixture of his improvement and having a better defense in front of him, I believe. But you look at save percent. If you want to go off save percentage, I got right into this last night on Twitter. He's got a higher save percentage than Edison in the Premier League. He's got a higher save percentage than Bazunu in the Championship.
Yeah.
So where does it stop? Do you know what I mean? Like you can
Of
make
course, yeah.
you can make claims, or you can make claims just by looking at a number. We can all manipulate that data to suit our argument. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, exactly. We will move it on from the Melier chap. Just like I say, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. People won't like to hear it, but I still think he did. I don't think they'll replace him if we get promoted, and I think he deserves another crack at it, to be honest. But that's just my opinion. I know that will rub people up the wrong way, but I think there's still a great goalkeeper in there, and he'll go on to have a great goalkeeper, great career. Sorry, but yeah. You talked about one player, Luke, Archie Gray. Someone put it in the comments. Archie, the next Jude Bellingham, I swear. I'm thinking more like Trent without the goals, unfortunately, that Trent scores. But I'm actually seeing his long-term position right back. You know, I might be wrong. Maybe it's just because it's in his infancy, but he looks really good. I put a funny tweet out saying, well, I don't think it was funny, but I put a tweet out saying, when you've been clamouring for the best right back to start, and all along he's already been at the football club. Like, Luke, Archie Gray, just how good is he, man? He's phenomenal, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched him on telly a few times, but seeing him play, man, even just the things he does that you don't see on telly, off the ball, he's so intelligent above his years. He's just a complete footballer. He's so good at everything. There's times when you think, oh Jesus, there's a massive spider coming down from his ceiling. Can you see that?
You just said there's times when you think, "Oh Jesus, there's a massive." I was like, "What?"
It's going back up now. It's going back up. I'm not bothered about spiders, but when they're that big, man, I just start to get gloves out on that. It's yeah. I mean, he's just so mature. And I look, I know I blamed him, and I'll put him at fault for that first goal, but that was probably arguably the only mistake I felt he made all game. There's times when I put Luke Ayling in his position, and I think, what would Luke Ayling do there? And he wouldn't get it right. He simply wouldn't. And Luke Ayling has been played for an extra 20 years on top of on Archie, almost at a decent level. So yeah, it's frightening how high his ceiling is, and how important he's become in such a short period of time for the football club.
Amazing, Evie. I'll swing it over to you. Like, I think you'll be agreeing with Luke this time, unless you want to give us a counter narrative.
No, he was my man of the match on Saturday. I think he's incredible, and I think he comes across as very level-headed and just wise beyond his years. His footballing IQ is something that I don't think we've seen at Leeds for a long time. And I feel safe when he's on the ball. Like, he doesn't. There was a time in the middle of the first half where the ball, he'd kind of lost it and then ran half the length of the pitch, got the ball back and kind of pirouetted out of trouble, and then created an attacking movement, which I think possibly was when we earned the penalty. So he's got great vision. He doesn't panic. He's comfortable on the ball. He doesn't cower down to people. Well, everybody on the pitch is older than him, but he doesn't cower down to people, whether that's teammates or opposition. And I think that takes a lot of cojones to do that at 17 years old. I think it's just not something that you see, and especially not at, we haven't seen it for a long time at Leeds, and it's something that we need to keep hold of. I'm talking about midnight on his 18th birthday. He better be at Ellen Road signing a contract, kind of, thing. That we protect our assets, and we have to match his ambition, and that's where we've failed over the last few years. I think Calvin Phillips stays if we improve in that January transfer window. I'm not saying Rafinha has the same loyalty, but it would certainly have made him question whether Barcelona was the right move had we have strengthened in January, or strengthened in that summer the 21-22 summer going into the window. So we have to match his ambition. So I just hope that we do that and we don't just cower down to, bigger clubs than Leeds United, and that we hold on to somebody who not many clubs can say they've got a fan who's also playing for them as well. And what an amazing chance for new 21st century Leeds fans to be introduced to the great family name. And that's, it's nice to have that dynasty and continue it, and especially with his brother as well. It was just, imagine having two Greys playing in the Premier League.
Right?
Oh.
And the maddest thing is obviously the younger brother's apparently better and is his striker. So like, what more can you want? Do you know what I mean? But I think the key thing is promotion. When it comes to that, we have to. We have to get promoted because clubs will come sniffing round Archie Gray. We've already seen a couple of weeks back Liverpool, and more will come to the party. You would hope, though, that I'm pretty certain if we got promoted, he stays. He's not going to leave. But if we didn't, then as I know he's still young and all that, and I know we'd love to sit here and say, oh, no, he'll get game time. We've seen Man City picking up 15-year-olds from our academy, so best believe they won't have no problem coming and putting 40 million for a 17-year-old, because that's what I'd be looking at. What did Bellingham go to? I'm not saying he's on his level by any stretch of the imagination, by the way.
He was about 30 did he go Birmingham, back? But Birmingham was skint as well at the time. Right,
okay. So there you go. So you don't want him to go, do you? But you're going to get good money for a guy who's as talented as Archie. What did we think to the game overall then? Luke, I'll come back to you, because for me, I don't know what it was like for you where you were watching, but I was just so nervous towards the end because I was convinced they were going to score. That whole Leeds, that they have that big opportunity as well that hits off the post. I know we touched on it briefly, but I almost felt like Daniel Farke was waiting until we got another before he changed it, or they were going to score and then he was going to throw about 4 attackers on. I know you mentioned us about being in complete control on that. Were you surprised he didn't use Spence, for example? What? I think there's a question needs to be had over Ampadu as well, Luke. Because I don't think the last 3 games, I don't think he's been anywhere close to what we've seen in the earlier part of the season, and he looks like he needs a rest. But then there's a reluctance to play Gruyev there as well. So I do think, especially with December coming, we need to see some more of the squad.
I completely agree. As I said, I was in the stands Saturday, and I felt we needed changes. We were looking a little bit laboured, even with 11 against 10. Even though we were passing the football around, and we were in complete control, but they were always going to get that other chance. Now the problem we've got, or certainly that I feel we've got, is the players that we could be looking at bringing on are all very, very good attacking players. But Willie Gnonto does not defend like Dan James defends, and he doesn't work as hard defensively. So if we were to concede a breakaway and it was down that side, the chances are Willie Gnonto wouldn't be in a position that Daniel James was. So I can come, having watched the highlights back and seen it sober, then it's actually you got a slightly different perspective to it, and you can actually reason with it a little bit more, I think. And whilst it is frustrating, we've still taken 3 points from that game. We've got to. I suppose we're Farke's biggest critic when he doesn't make changes and it doesn't go right. But actually, when he doesn't make changes and we still win the game, how can we then criticize something that's actually worked? It's tough. It is tough, and I think we do need to see. I'm very surprised we haven't seen Jed Spence, although he's been fit for the last 2 games. Very surprised we haven't seen him for even 5-10 minute cameo, just to give him a few minutes in the legs. But we've got a really busy December coming up. I'm sure we will, but I'm sure Farke, I trust what he's doing, and I think we're all after. If we start questioning that, that's when things maybe start going a little. If things do start going a bit wrong, that's when we start turning on management and thinking, actually, are they the right man for the job? When actually, this first three and a half months have shown that he probably is the right man for us right now. And we've got some absolutely exciting options, which is a great headache to have. I was talking about the reason Jed Spencer's been left out so long is because Archie Gray's doing so well. And the reason Archie Gray hasn't been moved into midfield is because Kamara and Ampadu have been doing so well. So it's a great headache to have, and it's a lovely position to be in as a Leeds fan, because historically we've never had that. We've had injuries left, right and centre. We've had to play people out of position. I mean, earlier on in the season, Jamie Shackleton started as a right winger. Come on, we're in a position now where we've got a nice headache to have. So yeah, I'm very much trust the process until it starts going really wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty fair assessment, Evie, right?
Yeah, I think Luke's completely right. I don't think you can't say, oh yeah, we trust Daniel, but actually we only won 3-2, and his subs were late, and yes, we could have done better, but at the end of the day, he's dealt with so much rubbish from the beginning, from all the way through the summer and everything like that. He hasn't just wandered into a job. He's had to rip everything out from, deal with everybody that he thinks are staying, leaving, thinks people are going and they stay. He's just a lot of upheaval. So his plan is probably only just starting to actually come to fruition now, because until the end of August, he actually had no idea what to do in terms of, Cine would have been one of our best players. He would have started as many games as his body would have allowed, so he'd have probably only started 3 games by now. And it just, I think we have to trust him. It is frustrating when we could have probably put Nonto on earlier. We could have seen Jaden Anthony. We could have made those changes, because obviously Boro were down to 10 men, and we should have exploited that maybe with having a week as well in between games. We could afford to bring people on, rest legs, but also give minutes into cold legs, because if something happens in training this week and Somerville, touch wood, he doesn't, but something happens to Somerville, he got a few nasty tackles in that game as well. So there's no saying that, he hasn't picked up an injury, and then we're going to expect Nonto or Dan James to move over onto that side or whatever. We're going to expect rotation, but forced rotation. And there's a saying, isn't there, that you should fix the roof while the sun is shining, or something along those lines of, you should, give people a chance while we don't need them, rather than expecting people to perform when we do need them to. And it's going to be such a torturous month. We've got some really important games, especially like the Ipswich game. And we need those games to go right. We can't afford to have passengers, and at the minute it feels like most of our bench are passengers because they're not being actually given the chance to play.
I think that's I hear you, because Jamie Dixon's just put it in the chat, and I know myself, Lockie and Andrea were chatting about it yesterday on WhatsApp. There's a real case that Jaden Anthony returns to Bournemouth in January, just because of the amount of game time. He's barely played. Also, there's clubs that want Nonto. And Andrea seems to think the noises in Italy is that he'll move over there. Again, this is just chatting. There's nothing like substantiated to it. But if they don't play, if Jaden Anthony's coming here having played 30-odd games or whatever it was last season for Bournemouth in a team that got promoted, he's probably thinking I play more. He's barely played. I know we see him a lot. I think he's the most used subs, but actual minutes, it ain't a lot. Now, if there's an opportunity for him to go back, then that could well happen. And we don't want to be in a place come January where that does happen, Luke. I know you've got a pensive look on your face. What are your thoughts?
I can't see there being a recall agreement in there because of the Cine situation. I mean, could well be wrong. I don't obviously know the ins and outs, but I think it'd be very, very strange for them to be able to include a recall bonus, but not us. Do you see what I mean? And Cine was so insistent on going there that it almost feels like it's solid for a full season to me. Could well be wrong, and we might see that.
You've also got Creswell as well, which if I am Creswell, I'm demanding a loan because I think the club's took the piss. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but you've given him a new deal. He could have left, and now he's not played. What's he played? 5 minutes, if that? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but it goes back to what I said about trusting the process. How can you? How and why would you change? I mean, obviously, Coops is brought in over Creswell simply because of his leadership and what he's brought to the club. Is he a better defender than Creswell? Probably not now, but he still offers a lot more to the squad. Farke feels now. If we again, it goes back to, do we question Farke? Farke's job isn't just to make 5 substitutions on a weekend. You know, he's with these lads week in, week out. It's worth noting that he spends every day with these people. Most days, maybe they have a day off a week, but he sees them far more than we do. And there must be a reason why, and it must be telling them the right things, because we're not seeing any real noise in the media about players being unhappy or anything like that, which generally speaking probably would have happened by now if people weren't happy. Even from Jayden Anthony camp, from Bournemouth, we probably would have heard something by now, but we haven't. So I think we're probably just speculating because we aren't seeing them now. You know, you don't fix something that isn't broken. And whilst we're still winning and drawing games in the last 6, I can't see why we'd need to necessarily be introducing subs for subs sake. You know, we signed Gruev. We've seen, I think he's been on the pitch twice, 2 or 3 times now, Gruev, in the whole time that we've had him. I could be wrong, could be more than that, but I only remember seeing him feature 2 or 3 times. But there's a reason for that, and he's obviously not as good as the other options we've got. And in the positions in games that we're going into, he only trusts him for the last 5-10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sure if he didn't trust him at all, we wouldn't see them. And again, going back to what Farke has actually brought to this squad, and what Evie actually touched on earlier, you've got to remember in August he was making Nonto train on his own. You know, and he's managed to turn that round, and Nonto looks happy as anything when for Somerville's scoring. He's not sulking or anything. So are we just over speculating? You know, for speculating's sake?
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're probably all right, mate. To be fair, but I guess we're not that far away now. But between now and the 1st of January, we've got Blackburn away, Sunderland away, Coventry at home, Ipswich at home, Preston away, West Brom away, and then on the 1st of January we welcome Wayne Rooney's Birmingham, if indeed he's still in a job at that point. But that's some really, really difficult fixtures, Evie. So it is going to be, like I made the claim that by the 1st of January we'll be in the top 2, but I don't know. Like what I'm seeing in the league now is like 4 teams, which is us, Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester just putting teams away week on week, and I think there's now a 5-point gap from 4th to 5th. So I just see that gap now increasing, and it's just going to end up being like a 4-team straight shootout for these top 2 spots. And then obviously, if you finished 3rd and 4th, one of you is missing out. Do you know what I mean? And I just hope I can't deal with the playoffs, but that gap's. I mean, 1 week it moves down a point and then it goes back up. I mean, all we can do is keep winning games, and obviously some tough fixtures coming up. Blackburn away, they're not great, but Sammy Schmodics has got the most in the league, so he probably scores. We've got Sunderland away, who've fallen off, but Championship goes like this for some teams. They have 3 losses and then they win 3, and then it's just all a bit mad. But how are you feeling for the Christmas period? Such a pack. I don't think we have a busier month, really. Are you positive we come out of the other end still in a decent position, top 2?
I think we definitely come. I don't think we move down, so I definitely still think we'll be top 3. And I don't think that if that's the case, we should panic, because we've got a transfer window in January. Leicester have got players going off to AFCON for 10. Is it 10 games?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be that long, but yeah, maybe.
But so they've got players going off, and even if they're not starters, they're still bench options. So it still means that you're panicked thinking, if so-and-so gets injured, then that means that there's going to be nobody, suitable to cover them. So even though a lot of Leicester fans have said, oh, well, it's not really any of our starters that are going to AFCON, it doesn't matter. You still need squad depth when you've got so many games. And And then I think, I might be wrong, but I think Ipswich's captain goes off to a competition in Asia. I think.
Okay.
I don't know whether I'm making that up, but I'm sure he goes off to a competition.
It's Morse is their captain. I think he's Egyptian, but he hasn't really been playing for Egypt much, so it would have been AFCON as well.
Right.
But they have got two other lads who are Australian, Luongo and as defender, I think, if I remember rightly. But they'll be going to the Oceania tournament, whatever they call it.
Yeah, so there are elements where we should and we have to exploit their weaknesses in terms of, even if we're not directly playing them, we need to up our games for that period. So I don't think, if we're still in third, I don't think it's panic stations as long as the gap hasn't increased massively. If it's a point either way, that's fine. I don't think we've got anything to worry about. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you look at any kind of Leicester fan media, Ipswich, they're just loving life, so that's fine. But Leicester fans are panicking. They don't particularly like the style of football. They're only winning games by last-minute goals. They're not necessarily even playing too well. Vardy's going to run out of steam at some point. He might get injured or something. So, the goals will eventually dry up a little bit for him. So they're not, I think we're playing better football. We just need to be more clinical, whereas Leicester kind of have the opposite problem. They're not playing fantastic football, but they're getting the job done. So we kind of need a little bit of their, just clinical edge. And then I think we're fine. But I don't want to get cocky, because I don't think it's a God-given right that we go up this year. And that's what makes me even more kind of wary of Farke not using subs like Cresswell and younger players, because obviously if we don't go up this season, Somerville's gone, Nonto's gone, Rutter's gone, Spence will go back to Tottenham on loan, Rodon wouldn't sign, Byram we'd have to sign again because it's only a 1-year deal, and again he's 1 year older, so that means even more injuries are more likely. And then you're expecting a younger, people like Cresswell who haven't been featured this year to all of a sudden be happy to play a part next year. So we need to keep that balance and keep that good team spirit that we've finally got back after pretty much 2 years of not really having it. And that's another thing that concerns me if we don't go up, because the reality of not using players as much as they probably deserve to be used might come and slap us in the face.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Don't want to look too far ahead, but I do agree with you in the terms of Somerville, Rutter. There is no way you're convincing these lads to stay for another season with the form that they're in. Luke, obviously December, great, we love it. Probably the only country that has football on over the Christmas period. A lot of countries take breaks and stuff. I as a fan enjoy it, that there's football on Boxing Day and stuff. It's just, something that's passed down. But it does feel almost like Jamie's hit a nail, because honestly, after that game on Saturday, I wanted to lie down, mate. It was really nail-biting for me. And I do think, like Jamie said, obviously Leicester get one, Ipswich, they just seem to be winning games comfortably. They're like 3-0 up after 30 minutes or something. And then I'm like, oh, God, if we don't win this, that's more. It is getting to that stage already, and we're not even at Christmas, Luke.
Yeah, mate. The part and parcel of being a Leeds fan anyway, innit? It's always been the same. You can. But I think because things are going well, there's this dread and this fear of things going wrong, and it only takes a few results for things to start dropping off, and it's got to happen for somebody. The top 3 and 4 cannot just continue winning them for the rest of the season. It's absolutely berserk. The level of performances that the top 3, and even it might as well throw Southampton in there because they're hit some fine form as well recently. But yeah, it's if you were a betting person, you would have a bet that at least one or two of these teams would start dropping points. And for me, looking at the fixtures, my first choice would be Ipswich. But having seen that goal they scored the other day, they're playing some really, really good football. And I think the most worrying thing is Leicester aren't playing well, but they're still beating a good West Brom side. Do you know what I mean? It's it's just difficult. I just don't know. You say, yeah, I mean, good. It's a good good summary that it is mentally exhausting. But that's why we watch football. You know, we wouldn't watch it if it wasn't exciting, and we didn't have that element of surprise. And it's a nice position to be in. I think if you'd have told me going into December we would be where we are on the points total we're on, I would have snapped your hand off. Because I wouldn't have expected Ipswich and Leicester to be as far ahead as what they were. I wouldn't have expected those to be on the same points. So yeah, it's certainly going to make for an exciting festive period. I love it. I'm going to a few games over Christmas and that. I love it. I do. I've got Preston away and that, so Boxing Day. But yeah, it is going to be exhausting. And we're not, realistically, are we going to win every one of those games? No. So I think probably setting our own expectations early is probably a good thing, because we aren't going to go the rest of the season unbeaten, and there's going to be times when we're not playing champagne football. I mean, look at Rotherham as a recent example. But it's how we react, isn't it? We drew at Rotherham and then came back and picked another 6 points up from two potential banana skins, Swansea and Middlesbrough. So yeah, I'm really positive. There's a lot more to be positive than negative about, which is a good position to be in.
Yeah, no, I think you bang on. I think my hope is at this moment in time that Ten Hag gets sacked and they give it Kieran McKenna. Because obviously he worked there, didn't he? No, I know. But you're like, Kieran McKenna, Carrick, they were part of Ollie's backroom. Get them two together and take them there. And then, Ipswich will fall like a stone. But yeah, I don't think it'll happen. But we'll see. Quick look ahead then. We've got Blackburn at the weekend. Sammy Szmodics, I think, is the top scorer in the league for Blackburn off the top of my head. But going away, do you know, have they give us the whole 7,000 allocation that they normally tend to do? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Yes,
they have. Yes, they have. Yeah. Preston give us 5,500. They gave us 7,300.
Behind the goal. Because I thought it was on TV because it's been moved to 12:30, but it isn't. So I didn't know
two
why
games at 12:30, isn't there? That's why they have two. But yeah, it'll still be on international radio.
Yeah, international radio for sure. Give me a score prediction, Luke. Just early doors.
So hit and miss Blackburn, man.
Yeah.
3-1 Leeds. I think we'll concede because that striker's on fire. Yeah. But I just think we that front four. I mean, I don't like to use XG and data to analyze anything because I prefer watching football with my eyes. And look, you can manipulate, as we said early on and at the start, you can manipulate data to suit any agenda and any point you want to make if you want. But I mean, we're expected to. We're performing well under what we're expected to score. If those front four, I mean, as if they're not already firing, they're playing absolutely brilliantly together, all the four of them. But you look at the amount of chances Rutt has missed that were relatively easy, one at the weekend. If we could start burying them and be a little bit more clinical, we'd be beating teams 4 or 5-0 week in, week out. If we could tighten up the defense and the odd mistake, which naturally is going to happen in football, which sometimes often unavoidable. But yeah, we've got the best front four in the league by a country mile.
Yeah, agree.
And yeah, if we can just learn how to capitalize, and I think we're still yet to see the best of Leeds United this season and what we're capable of, because we've seen it in spurts and we've seen it against some sides. But yeah, I just think there is so much more to come from this squad, and I think once they realize that potential, we'll be unplayable.
I agree, mate. I think Farke's teams normally go like this, right? And hopefully towards the end of the season, he keeps talking about them last 6 games. Let's see where we are in them last 6. And I'm just expecting us to just be like win on our way to promotion. I'm just having a look as well. Sammy Szmodics plays like in the 10 role. Just looking at his heat map over the season, he occupies a hell of a lot of it on the left-hand side. Started all 19 games, has scored 14 goals. And he occupies a hell of a lot on the left-hand side. So if Archie does play, he's going to have his work cut out for him. Or maybe that's why he's been saving Spence. You don't know. He might look at someone like Szmodics and say, right, this is the game for you. So it'll be interesting to see. That'll be a good test for Archie or Spence, whoever gets that place. Evie, give us a quick score prediction ahead of Blackburn.
I think it's going to be like another Ipswich style game. I think it's going to be a very high scoring game because they score for fun, we score for fun. I think I'm going to go 4-3 to Leeds.
I'll take that. I'll take that if that's the case. That'd be great. Listen, as long as we win, that's the main thing. I think we've got 2 very difficult away games in Blackburn and Sunderland. So if we can pick up 6 points again, I think that's massive. Because I think this might be the only week they've got off, and then it's like Saturday, Tuesday, right till the end of the month. So it's going to be very, very busy. So yeah. Just before we finished, obviously we pulled Peterborough away in the cup. I think we're the first time in history to get 14 away third round cup games or something. Johnny Cooper put it out. Every time we get drawn, we're always away, and I think we're the first team to get 14 consecutive away cup ties.
Apparently, you've got more chance of winning the Euro Millions than that happening.
Wow. That's why they love an upset for Leeds United in the third round at a lower league opposition, man. That's what it is. What heated balls and that's what it is. I'm telling you. Just a quick look ahead to that. What did you make to the tie? Should win, right, Luke? Like, just get through.
It depends how seriously we take it. Do you know what I mean? I'm one of these that in the position we're in, I would much rather play a second string 11 and risk going out than risking, after a busy festive period, as we've just talked in some depth about. I would much rather. We've got enough backup in every position to play a second 11 up here, and should still have enough. But we say that every time. I'd love a cup run. But priorities priorities is to be promoted this season, and if that's to the detriment of going out early in the cup to a side a couple of divisions below, then so be it for me.
Exactly. Not really after Evie, though. It will be an opportunity to see Nonto, Anthony, Creswell, Gruyev, all them teams, all them players there that aren't getting on. Will get minutes surely.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think that that's a great idea, just for the simple fact of we will probably lose that game because of the fact that those players haven't played together, and it then won't do the confidence necessarily any good. I still think that we should put out a weaker side and protect our most kind of valuable assets. Somerville, Rutter, etc., Archie. But I'd like to see us give it a go. But I think realistically, we can probably knock the FA Cup on the head for probably the next 2 seasons. Because if we do get up this season, next year it's going to be all about consolidating in the Premier League and making sure that we're comfortable enough that we, every time we step on the pitch kind of thing. So I think realistically, for as much as it would be nice, I do think the next 2 years, the league is just so much more important than the FA Cup.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think we'd all like a cup run though, but you're right. We're used to it at this point. To balls in it up anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter, does it, either way, as long as we are doing fighting fit in the league, if you like. That's the main thing. Right, well, I'm just trying to get Jay. I don't know, sorry, I'm speaking to Jay from Auto Know Better. If you can I'm going to send you a text because I can redirect people straight to your stream if you're going live after this, mate. So they go straight on over. I'm just trying to, you need to give me permission though on your channel to do it. I'm trying to find it now. I've sent you a screenshot, Jay, if you're still watching. So if you can have a look at that. If you give
Send it to me as well, John. I'll try and do it.
Okay, no worries. Give us a sec. Because what will happen is that as this one ends, they'll just go straight over to you. You see.
Yeah, we're not actually due to go live till past. But if you want to have a chat in the lobby, you're more than welcome.
Yeah,
get a cuppa and
exactly.
a beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I've just sent it over. If you let me know when you've done that, I'll be able to get that sent over. Henry James Walker says, "Great show, guys. Another year, another successful cup run. Wink, wink. Yeah. Cup games in between Birmingham and Cardiff. Yeah, 6th of January, I think it is, isn't it? But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It was meant to be 7, but I screwed it up. There you go. Change it, mate, to 5 past. I'll end, and then everyone will just go straight over, and you can go live. Oh no, but great channel, great guys. Yes, they indeed are. Big up to Justin as well. We're just waiting, really. I'm just trying to dead air it until Jay sorted that out, so I can send you over because we're coming to the end. But while we wait for that, you said Archie was your man of the match, did you, Evie? Who was your man of the match, Luke?
Yeah.
Dan James.
And James, yeah. What a season he's having, you know.
I thought he had a great game. I called it before the start of the season. Him and Pascal called them both, and you know, because they had relatively poor seasons. I mean, obviously Dan James wasn't with us most of last. In fact, all of last season was he? He was at Fulham, was he? Was he there?
Yeah,
all
was
last
at Fulham.
Season?
No, I think he started until
Chelsea game was his last game for us.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, arguably the game that the performance of the season when we let him go out on loan. So I think Dan. You know what? He took some stick as well. There was, I remember him getting badly fouled as well, 3 or 4 times. You know, there was that big crux, the big striker came in late, and the right back, the lad who got sent off crunched him as well. So he took some stick, and he takes it so well. And his goal, 5'7", is he? Something stupid. And to climb above a centre back and a left back, and
in between them, by the way, he was in between the centre backs as well.
He's deceptively good in the air, and I've said this all along. Even when we were playing him, even when Bielsa played him as a number 9, he still won a lot of headers for such a little lad.
Yeah. It was the Villa game that he scored that header in between Tyrone Mings. That was brilliant.
That's it. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it was good, man. It was good. I think Archie Gray probably very, very close second, but also a shout out for Kamara. I thought he had one of his best games for us as well.
Yeah, I think with Ampadu and Kamara, they don't get the plaudits because they're playing in a sort of defensive role, and we just expect now, don't we? You know what I mean? They don't really have bad games, although I do think Ampadu started the last 2 a little bit slower than we're used to him starting, for sure. What did you make to the real Slim Shady Paddy Bamford's new look? What was that, man? I'm like, someone needs to say to him, hang on, what are you doing here, bro?
You know what?
Did you like?
I didn't mind it, and I think he's trying to. I get what he's trying to do. I get that he's trying to take. Do you know what though? What I will say is every fan not every fan, the majority of fans within that ground.
I heard it. Everyone was singing his name.
Yeah. And that's the difference between watching on telly to being in it. You know, you get a general. You get a general understanding of the atmosphere and how people actually feel towards the play. You know, you can read Twitter till the cows come on, but you'll find contradicting arguments for everything. You know, whereas when you're in a stand. But yeah, I didn't mind it, and I understand why he's done it. Look, he's dyed his hair. He's probably thought, let's let people focus on that than with football. And you know what? He was very, very unlucky not to get a goal. It was a great header from the corner, and very, very close. He just needs that goal or two, doesn't he? And because he's not a bad option at this level to bring off the bench as a striker. You know, he's not a bad option. And look, he's going through an absolute tragic run of form, where he's just not scoring, and obviously taking that penalty didn't help his cause as well. But I'm a big advocate for Patrick Bamford. I think he's a good player. He's probably past his best with all his injuries and that he's had, shall we say? But I still think he's got enough to offer us as a backup striker. Yeah, no,
I'm not as much in love with him anymore as I once was. I'm actually quite annoyed and frustrated at him, to be honest. But I'm not going to sit here and say that the guy's is trash the right word. I mean, he just needs a goal. He just needs a goal. But I do get a little bit. I mean, Graham Noble says Bamford's shot. I feel there is a little bit of that. Like his Leeds career's almost like it needs to end. I don't know. Evie, would you want him to stay if we did get promoted, or would you be looking at someone else potentially?
I'd be looking at someone else. They won't sell him. Like lots of people are saying, like we need to sell him in January or loan him out or anything like that. And the 49ers will not do that because nobody else will take on his wages because he's not worth what we're currently paying him in the Championship. So nobody else is going to take him. Nobody in the Premier League is going to take him. And as well, even if we did sell him or bought out his contract, if we get promoted in the summer, that contract will include a clause that we don't pay him his remainder contract at his current championship wage. He will then get promoted alongside with us. So we will then, he doesn't even have the option to potentially have an impact on the game positively. He's just a direct burden on the club if we sold him or bought out his contract. So we have to utilize him. You know, he got a great deal out of it. He had one really good season in the Premier League, and he's probably set for life now, and hasn't been as good. Yes, he's been injured, and I do feel that the club also were neglectful by not replacing him. You know, again, you do things when the weather's good. You don't prepare for a storm when it's raining. So, you know, we should have gone out and bought a proper number 9 when he was firing on all cylinders, because then as soon as he went kaput, we either didn't have one, or we go out on the last day of the transfer window and buy an 18-year-old who, granted, yes, Nonto's good, but he's not a number 9 in the Premier League good. And that was only, you know, and if the guy doesn't have competition, he's proved that he doesn't stay fit. And it does make you a little bit cynical, thinking, well, he's stayed a lot fitter this season by having direct competition than he has done the previous season and a half. But, you know, I wouldn't want to, I would hope that that's just me being cynical rather than any sort of truth to it.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Well, with that, what we have managed to do is set the redirect up. Okay. So when this stream ends, folk, don't go anywhere. You'll just go straight on over to Auto Know Better if you want some more Leeds United content. If it does just show play sign, just press play and it'll then redirect. Some people last time it went straight over. Others, they sat there for a bit. But yeah, if you just press play, it should just shoot you straight on over. And like Jay says, don't go anywhere. And you should be able to go on over and jump in on there live. So there'll be
got a special guest on as well.
Okay, who is it?
Do
you not want to tell?
No, I can tell you. It's we've actually got our Leeds United's lucky mascot coming on for his podcast debut. Johnny Brown's son. 28 games, I think he's been to now, and never seen us lose. So he's going to come on for a quick hello. He's asked. Well, no, we asked him actually. But yeah, he's quite excited about it because he watches everybody. Watches this. He watches Square Ball, and he watches us as well. So and it's just before his bedtime. So we said we'd get him on and let him have a bit of a chat.
Oh, perfect. Love that. So make sure you go on over then, because he's the new official or unofficial lucky mascot for us Leeds United fans. So go on over and check that out. As I said, don't go anywhere. It's going to take you straight on over, all right? Thank you, Evie, for coming on. Pleasure as always. Great again. Luke, amazing. And look, there'll be content this week, getting ready for Blackburn, of course, on the weekend. Enjoy the rest of your evening, folks, and we will see you again. Stay away.